SG Reads.
Hello fellow travelers, my name is SG, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to go over a mix of an animation with an analog style horror series. This one of course is the horror films by Mr. Friend. While they are described as being their own shorts or being their own world, there are several connections to it that I would like to make. I've watched all 4 of the short films along with a lot of the shorts, so I think that there is a connection, there is something bigger going on in this universe and story overall, and I just want to run down the episodes and give my point of view on these storylines. But for now, if you like this content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate it. It would help me out. And let's get started, shall we? Alright, the first story that we're going to follow in this series is called Bad Boy Oliver. In this one, Oliver has just turned 8 years old and is going to stay a couple weeks with his aunt and uncle. When he arrives there, he's afraid that they might not know who he is, mainly because he hadn't seen them for a long time, since he was little, and was afraid that they might not recognize him after all. When he goes in there, he is given a room, the guest room specifically, where there is a sock puppet monkey staring directly at the bed. Now the monkey looks different, it has an odd vibe to it, and even suggests there is a camera in the middle of it. And with that, we know that he is having nightmares of it, it's terrifying him, and so much so that he decides to break it. After he breaks it, the uncle decides to punish him, and that's the last time we see him, being in the basement of course. But, as I said, there is more to the story in another video. But for now, we're going to go down the list with The Man with No Mouth. In this one, we have a young boy trying to figure out a math problem. The math problem seems almost impossible to him. He's having a hard time staying up all night trying to figure it out. When he looks out the window, he sees this weird grayish creature standing outside his window. There he tries to make friends with it. He notices that it has no mouth. Oddly enough, he then goes on to continue to see this creature the next night. When he falls asleep that night, he notices that his homework had been solved and has been corrected. He thinks it's this creature that he has let into his room and wants to be friends with him. But the final night, as he let the creature into his room, invited I may add, the creature then presumes to, as far as we know, eat him. Now, we don't know much there. All we know is that he does have this horrible mouth-looking thing, and the video stops there. We then go into the third video, Apple Vision Pro, which, unlike the other ones, involves more of a boy receiving an Apple Vision kind of headgear and is playing it all day long that his mom has given it to him. And once he takes it off, he begins seeing the world almost as if everything was a monster and creatures. We end the video with him pretty much feeling terrorized by the same creature and said being attacked by it, leading to a lot of questions suggesting which was the real world and this world among itself. But we will get to that in a little bit as well. And for the final short video of this analog series, Happy School Horror. Or just Happy School Analog Horror. Here we learn that there has been a public school that has been kind of promoting one type of student. And I mean that by just one student with similar features to all of them. This student has been taking over the entire classroom, and we're switching that between a commercial for the school and at the same time to this one first-person perspective. Presumably, maybe even a person going in there into the school, which looks abandoned at this point, but all that's left are these small children that look like from the commercial. And we will notice a certain similarity to them to another video, but we'll talk about that later. It then ends with just them discovering this small room with these children trapped underneath. But they're not moving like children, they're more just acting like creatures or robots, if you will. And for now, that's all we got with the overall series. We're going to talk about it right now. I do suggest going to check out Mr. Friend's videos. They are very interesting, very short. The longest one happens to be like 10 minutes long. The rest seem to be between 2 and 6, and of course 7. I do suggest going to check it out if you can. And let's continue, shall we? Now, usually this is the part where I talk about who was the narrator and what were they putting together. In this one, there seems to be a shared connection, but there is no main narrator. If we wanted to, we could say that maybe that the one from the School one is the narrator of both Bad Boy Oliver and this one. They may be related in certain ways, but for the most part, we do know that there is no real shared connection as of yet. Narrative-wise, maybe. We'll talk about that in a minute, though. But there is no one putting this together. There seems to be just a collected course of information. In fact, all of them seem to be placed in a matter of a way that seems to be these are more like after-school specials in a weird way. That they are either being told to be wary of something, or that something bigger is happening in this world. Overall, what I can tell is that there is no one shared person in this, but there is shared events. So we'll get into that right now. So right off the bat, the two series, or two stories that seem to be connected in a weird way, seems to be Bad Boy Oliver and Happy School. Why do I say that? Well, mainly to the fact that they're the same model for the child. And like I said, it seems that there's not just one Oliver, there seems to be many, suggesting that this Oliver is different, suggesting that this is something bigger going on. Maybe the school opened up and Olivers were just all over the place. And eventually the school closed down and was sent these kids to certain locations to replace them. Now, we can say for a fact that maybe the Oliver that we see in Bad Boy Oliver was the original, and these are just the copies following after, but for the most part, it does seem to share some sort of connection, because the other ones don't have that same characteristics as Oliver does, and it's odd that they would in these two series, or in these two episodes. But I do feel that there is a shared connection going into the next ones as well, and that being perception. Now, we can say for a fact that Oliver and the Happy School are definitely related, but what's relating them is the creatures behind them. And we'll get to that right now. Now, all the videos are shared by 3 different themes that all of them seem to have at the same time. And that being, 1, children, of course. We have school constantly being mentioned, but at the same time, we have perspective often being challenged. In a weird way, those are the 3 recurring themes throughout the videos. In Oliver, we do know that perception becomes a big thing. How the family sees him, how he sees the world, and how it's affecting him. In The Man with No Mouth, we do know how the young boy wants to be friends with this creature outside, seeing it as a friendly figure and wanting to come in. And Apple Vision Pro, we do know that perception, or the reality of things, seems to make or haunt him overall. Allowing the last one, the Happy School, constantly debating with the commercial that we see in the video and the reality of it all, breaking perception once again. School is often referred to in this one, such as Bad Boy Oliver, even though we don't know where the school is in this scenario, but we can say that he got off of school, or he's out of school, hence why he's at his aunt and uncle's for the weekend. As for the Man with No Mouth, he's preparing for school, but he seems to be homeschooled. There is that, again, connection once again. They're not actually going to school, they're just doing homework on the computer. We don't see the work being printed out or any other way, just that they're doing it at home. Again, going to Apple Vision Pro, we do have mention of homework or being forced to do it once again, but not really seeing them have books or anything like that. Leading again to Happy School, where the school seems to be in a basically disheveled way. There's no way anybody's been here for the past period of time. So for the most part, we do get that in this world something big has happened. Something weirder has happened. And people are being sent away to either somewhere safe, or people are being sent away to where they are trying to be protected at home. Which leads us to the bigger narrative, which I'm about to explain right now. If I were a gambling man, the storyline was this. A school opened up, and it was promoting knowledge, fun, and to be better for your students or your children. Ultimately, they were leading these kids into a trap. They were tricking people. They were being held as creatures were in the bottom of it. And these creatures were taking these children and taking their places, becoming something kind of like a skinwalker, if you will. And in this scenario, that happened to several kids. We see that happen to Oliver. As they said in the beginning of the narration, there was a chance that they wouldn't recognize him exactly, because they couldn't copy children exactly. They could only copy how they perceived humans, and in that sense they copied them all the exact same way, which meant people were starting to homeschool their kids, afraid of them going to schools. Hence we see the man with no mouth. He was being homeschooled along with the Apple Vision Pro. But even now we realize that wasn't exactly safe either, because thanks to Apple Vision Pro, we know that these creatures were taking over other people. They were taking over adults. He saw his mom for what it really was. The Apple Vision Pro was helping him actually perceive the reality of the world around him, but in a grotesque, horror-like way. We don't really know what happened at the very end. Well, we kind of do, but I'm not going to talk about it right here. And that being that this creature was the reality of it all. The creature was trying to pretend to be human this whole time, but was ultimately still just a fake person. And we know how they do it, because we see it in the man with no mouth. They trick somebody to let them in. They trick them to thinking they're friendly, pretend to be another person, pretend to be a creature that's willing to be friends or do whatever, and ultimately get their trust and take their place at the end of the day. That would be the true horror of this series, is that this is kind of like a Body Snatchers vibe, that they are using schools, using public places, or just using friendship as a means to become human, take their place and take over. And we kind of see this horror movie vibe in the other source materials from the same channel. As I said before, these 4 episodes are all part of the same story, the story of the school and the story of these creatures. But there is a bigger world out there, such as going off of the fears of people. There are certain monsters, creatures roaming the streets, titans, demons, whatever it is, tainting the mind of the people with fear, with phobias, all those things. It's a world where the end of the world's happening, and they're all coming out and they're trying to take over. Some are doing it more covertly, pretending to be people and live in the world as it is, such as the creatures we see in these 4 short films. The others aren't as quiet. Some are just hidden in the dark, some are just in the sea, some are in space, all leading to kind of this big cataclysmic event. Mr. Friend is a series, or a universe, where the world is almost ending, and it's ending by fear, by creatures, by the perceptions that we're seeing. In a weird way, that's kind of how all this is going to end for the series. These series are just about the same creatures taking over people, trying to live as them, hide from the bigger animals around them, hiding from the bigger things that's going on. But at the end of the day, it won't matter. It's still going to happen. The world's still ending in this universe. Alright, that's about all I have to say about these 4 films. If you want me to go into further depth with the shorts or along the way, please leave it down in the comment section. I'd really like to talk about it. Again, if you have another series you want me to check out, or if a YouTuber you want me to check out, please, again, leave it down in the comment section. I'd really like to know more about other series, other horrors. I do like this, and I know that this is Halloween. This is time for horror. So this is as good a time as any to bring out the scarier or more frightening stuff along the way. I thank you again for watching. Please support Mr. Friend at his regular YouTube channel. I'll leave a link down in the comment section and in the description. Please go check out his videos. They're very well done, very well made. And please, for my videos, please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you like my content. Come again maybe tomorrow. We'll have another video up. And see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.